Hey everybody, I just want to share some weekly updates with you guys as we are halfway through the week and starting off July. Happy July 1, everybody. All right, we are, the big thing going on is 21 days of prayer and fasting in the Bible. Now's a good time to pray, wouldn't you agree? And I believe today is day 15, or the first day of the final week of this. If you've been doing this for a while, I want to say keep marching forward. And this has personally been very helpful for me over the last 14 days. This is just what I needed. And I'm hearing similar reports from a few of you. I can tell you this, by the time this thing is over, I'd love for you to send me an email, tim@essentialhsv.com, and let me know what the experience was like for you, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything. I'd love to know what God has done in your life over these last 14 days. If you haven't already started the 21 days of prayer and fasting in the Bible, go over to our website, essentialhsv.com, and find one of these prayer guides, and I'd love for you to join us. You could, if you started this evening, you could do 7 days of prayer fasting in the Bible, or if you started tomorrow morning, you could do 6 days of prayer fasting in the Bible, and that'd be awesome. I'd love to invite you to come and do this with us. The other thing that I really want to share, one more housekeeping, one more bit of housekeeping. This Sunday is kind of the typical as far as in person goes. We're still taking tips at the door. We are still, social distancing. Masks are encouraged. Please avoid touching. These sort of things. We don't want anyone to have to kind of awkwardly accept or deny your high five or hug. We obviously will be very careful, and we want to be safe, and we want to be wise for those of us who are gathering in person. And of course, if you're continuing to gather online, no changes. In fact, we'll probably have 9:30 and 11 online on Facebook and YouTube for until Jesus comes back. So don't anticipate any changes with that ever, really. But the in-person, that's the stuff I want to keep you up to date with. And if you're not ready to come back to in-person, no problem at all. There's zero pressure for you to do that at this point. Make the wise decision for you and your family or those with you. And when the time is right, we can't wait to see you in person. But don't rush that decision. Come back when the time is right. And I do encourage you to be praying for this and be praying for wisdom on when the right time is. The big thing I want to share, and I shared this at one of the services in person last week, but not at the other, and I didn't share it online. So I just want to recap everybody why we call this place Essential Church in the first place. Because honestly, this is our name is kind of a teachable lesson for me and a teachable lesson for all of us. We call it Essential for two purposes, and the first one is for people who do not know Jesus. Our neighbors, our friends, some of you watching. If the reason we call it essential is because I really think on a certain level, all of us are after the same thing. I think all of us are looking for truth, if it exists. I submit to you it does. We're looking for joy, right? We're looking for this deep happiness. We're looking for peace. We're looking for a meaning and a purpose and an identity in our lives. And I think we're all looking for those things. And if you want to find those in a thing that will never be taken from you, and it's something that can never be taken from you, it's essential that you find it in Jesus Christ. Jesus is the source of truth and our joy and our peace and our purpose in life. And if we try to find those good things like joy and peace in something other than Jesus, that thing will disappoint you eventually. If you try to find that in a relationship or in your finances or in your health, those things will one day let you down. It's essential that we find what we're looking for in Jesus Christ. The second reason we call it essential is actually for Christians, for those of us who follow Jesus. One of the convictions that I live by is that God has given us enough time to do everything He's called us to do. This isn't recording. Yes, it is recording. Let me continue. God has given us enough time to do everything He's called us to do. But God has not given us enough time to do everything. Therefore, we must prioritize, right? We don't have time to do everything. And for the Jesus followers, we must focus on what's essential, which is loving God with all that we have and loving our neighbors ourselves. If you try to add too many other things to that list, you're just not going to have time to do what God's actually called you to do. And part of my testimony on this is that growing up as a Jesus follower, there were like two things I wanted to spend all my time on. These are all the books. If I was reading a book, these are the books I was reading books on. If I were having conversations with my Christian friends, these are two topics I wanted to talk to people about. I wanted to talk about the end times. Like, when is Jesus coming back? Who's the Antichrist? All these sort of things. And then the second thing I want to spend all my time on is how politics is ruining everything. And you know what? Listen, as Christians, there's a place for end times, right? There's a place for that. There's a place for what is a Christian's role in politics and in society here in America. But friends, if that's where we're spending the bulk of our time and energy, if that's what we're mostly thinking about, if that's what we're mostly talking to our Christian friends about, let me just be blunt. You're not doing the things God's called you to do. And I only say that as a man who has been guilty of this and a man who still struggles with it. You know, I still have to constantly be bringing it back to Jesus, bringing it back to what is essential. Loving God with all that I have and loving my neighbor as myself. Because God has given you enough time to do what He's called you to do, but He hasn't given you enough time to do everything. Therefore, friends, we have to focus. And there you have it. That's why we call it essential. All right. Man, I hope you guys are having a good week. And I say a good week because our joy, if you'll remember from last week, our joy it comes from knowing that God is in control. And things can be crazy in the news, things can be crazy in the circumstances of our individual lives, but we can still have a good week considering that our joy comes from knowing that God is in control. Anybody out there, you're grateful knowing that God's in control? Me too. Hey, I hope to see you this Sunday, either online or in person. Continue doing the 21 days of prayer, fasting, in the Bible. I love you, and I hope you have a great week. If I can do anything for you, let me know. God bless you.